Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating piece of ancient history, Numbers 27. It actually gives us this incredible, almost behind-the-scenes look at a community facing two massive existential crises of legacy. We're literally going to witness ancient law in the making, plus a totally high-stakes transition of power that's going to determine the survival of their entire society. So let's just get right into it.
Okay, picture this. Imagine having to stand up in front of the absolute most powerful leaders of your time. I'm talking Moses, Eleazar the priest, and literally the entire congregation. Well, that is exactly what a group of sisters did. They stepped right up with this incredibly bold question. They asked, "Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family just because he had no son?"
And we actually know their names. These bold petitioners for justice were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah, the daughters of Zelophehad. And they end up making this brilliantly constructed legal argument. They basically point out, look, our father died of his own sin out in the wilderness, right? Not as part of Korah's infamous rebellion. So he never actually forfeited his land legally. But because he didn't leave any sons behind, his whole name and estate were just about to be entirely erased. So they step up and demand their rightful share.
Now, what's really interesting here is the response. It's totally groundbreaking. Moses takes their case straight to the Lord, who essentially says, yeah, the daughters are absolutely right. And this ends up creating a brand new, cascading legal precedent. The new rule was, if a man dies with no son, the inheritance legally passes to his daughter. If there's no daughter, it goes to his brothers, then his father's brothers, and finally to the next nearest kinsman. It was just this massive, radical shift, a permanent statute designed to really protect a family's future estate. But literally right on the heels of resolving that one family's legacy, boom, a massive national crisis emerges. Moses is directed by the Lord to go up to Mount Abarim, view the Promised Land, and then, well, prepare to die. This was a direct consequence of his past rebellion at the water of Meribah. So suddenly, the nation needs a new leader, immediately. And Joshua, who is beautifully described as a man in whom is the Spirit, he's the one chosen to step up to the plate.
And knowing his end is near, Moses' reaction here is just entirely selfless. He isn't focused on his own legacy at all. Instead, he focuses entirely on his people's vulnerability. He makes this incredible plea that the congregation of the Lord be not as sheep which have no shepherd. It's such a powerful, emotional metaphor, right? He's desperately wanting a leader who can guide them and make sure they aren't left wandering and unprotected.
And this sequence brilliantly illustrates exactly how to secure a legacy. You do it through a highly visible public transfer of power. Joshua is brought before Eleazar, the priest, and presented to the entire congregation. Moses lays his hands on him, publicly transferring his honor and giving him a charge. Moving forward, Eleazar would actually seek counsel for Joshua using the judgment of Urim. Because all of this was done right in front of everyone, the children of Israel knew exactly who they needed to be obedient to, completely preventing any sort of dangerous power vacuum.
So it really all comes down to this big question. When the future is uncertain, how must laws and leadership adapt to protect a legacy? In just this one ancient text, we've watched a rigid legal system actually stretch to accommodate 5 incredibly brave sisters, and we've seen a legendary leader gracefully pass the baton. These ancient blueprints for adaptation and succession planning completely mirror our own universal human need to secure the future. Thanks so much for joining me for This Explainer today. I want to leave you with this. What steps are you taking right now to build and protect your own legacy for the future?